Assalamu alaikum and welcome back everyone to chapter 2, lesson 2.1 of the Arduino series. In this video we're going to cover how to be able to transfer data, strings specifically, through the serial monitor from our keyboard to the Arduino where we get a dedicated response. This will also give us the potential to be able to control components that are connected to the Arduino through our serial monitor, and therefore we don't have to connect inputs such as joysticks and buttons. So to begin with, you want to be able to access the code. You can write down the code through what is you see. However, there are some code and some commands that we haven't learned, such as the equals ignore case. I will explain this as we go throughout the video. However, if you are maybe just want to experiment with the code in itself, the code will be found in my Discord, and to access that just go into the description. So to begin, I'm going to explain what I have written for my variables. I have 4 string variables, one not defined and 3 defined. The first 3 all relate to, I guess, your options, red, green and blue. You will be presented in text which option to choose, and then you will choose red, green and blue. Whichever one you choose, you will get a respective response. You choose red, you're going to get red, and the same for green and blue. Next, I have input, which I have defined later on with this command over here. I'll explain what it does as we get there. The next, I got 4 integer variables. However, these 2 I have not completed due to the fact that I'm not going to use 2 other pins, and I don't have a blue LED pin. However, the red one is going to be defined as 10, which is going to be our pin number and where our wires are going to be connected to. And the final one is D time, which is going to be my delay value of 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. Now, what follows in the void setup is 3 very basic commands. The first one is obviously to activate the serial monitor. The serial.begin 9600 is my baud rate, so you're just going to make sure that when you open up your serial monitor, that's what you switch it to. And the one that follows after is also a serial command, serial.println. This will obviously, first of all, print new code. The next code that follows it, that's going to be printed onto the serial monitor, will be printed onto a new line. So you have to make sure they have ln, just so that it looks more presentable. And choose between red, green or blue is what I tell. This in itself has no real function. This only just tells the user, informs the user, and therefore it won't really affect the code. The next one revolves around my pin. I just have to make sure that my Arduino knows which pin I'm using and also what I'm going to do with the pin. How I understand whether it's going to be an output, and the way I differentiate between an output and input is understand where the information is traveling. In this case, it's traveling from the Arduino to my output, which is the LED, and therefore it's going to be an output. Within the serial loop, you'll find the majority of the code over here. There are 3 different conditions. We do define input, and we utilize a while command. The while command allows us to say that if the serial monitor is empty, nothing is being inputted and stored into the serial buffer, then do nothing. And I tell the Arduino to do nothing by leaving whatever's in the curly brackets empty. Next, we come and we define input. I define input as Serial.readString, and you have to make sure that you include the string. If you do read only, it would only read string as what the Arduino interprets it as numbers, right? And this basically stores whatever we've written. So if we've written red, blue, black, green, it's going to store what we've written into input. Next, into 3, we have 3 different conditions. Now, these 3 conditions all do the same command in the sense that it prints what we've written if it's correct. So if I've written blue, it will print blue into the serial monitor. However, for these 2, I have it that if I write in red, for instance, it's going to light up a red LED circuit that I do not have a green LED circuit. However, in theory, it should do the same thing. To begin with, we have a command within the conditions of if input dot equals ignore case r. I guess the format of this command, this specific command over here, is variable dot equals ignore case reference, which is why I was talking about these 2. These were going to act as references and something what we're going to print out as. We print them over here, and it acts as a reference over here. This command over here ignores the cases. So as long as the spelling is correct, the spelling of input is correct, it's going to ignore the cases. So over here, I have it all caps, right? So if I was to write it in my input as lower caps, it will still register it and execute this command due to the fact that the red is spelled correctly. My input is spelled correctly. And it goes through the same over here. If green, for instance, is spelled correctly, it will ignore the cases and will focus on the spelling and then therefore execute this command. And the same thing goes for blue. Now, to begin with the demonstration, you just want to make sure that your circuit and your connections are done correctly. To begin with, I have my wires color-coded, so my black is connected to the short head of the LED, which is connected to the ground. My long head is connected to a resistor, 330 ohm to be specific, and then connected to a red wire, which connects to the pin. Then you would just want to go to your Arduino, make sure that your tools, go into your tools tab, and then go to ports and board. You want to make sure that they're connected correctly, and then upload it. Once you upload it, you just want to make sure that it works properly. So you just want to make sure that the code has been printed. It should present you with choose between red, green, and blue option. To begin with, I'm going to start off with blue. Now with blue, it will register it due to the fact that I do have an option with it. I do have a pathway for that input. However, nothing will happen due to the fact that I don't have anything else expressed onto it. Now with blue, I can write it with whichever type of combination of uppercase and lowercase I choose. It will not affect the result. Next, with green, in theory, if I had now in this case I spelt it wrong. Instead of green, I wrote green. Nothing popped up since I don't have an option for if nothing is correct. But if I spell green correctly or lowercase, it will give me a response of green. In theory, it should also light up a LED circuit, which I don't have. Next, we can go to red. If I was to type red and watch the LED circuit, it lights up for 1 second and turns off for 1 second. This basically shows the potential of what the read string does. It gives the ability to make use of the user's preferences. For instance, in this case, or if this was fully done properly, I would have the option between red, green, or blue, and I can light up whichever LED I want. Now, this does expand our abilities to mess around with the Arduino and make different types of projects.